All right, we are live, everyone, here on Facebook, Mixed Company 2022, April 2022. I was about to say May. So we can just give it a couple seconds and do some introductions, give people time to log on. I feel like someone is missing. Okay. All right. So welcome to Mixed Company, April 22. My name is Monisa Mason. I am the creator and the founder of Mixed Company, and we are excited to have today's conversation, to get it going, to get the questions and the combos popping. We got a new panel of guests. We love to have our new faces on this show, so we're really excited to have everybody that we have on today from all over the place, from Atlanta, Michigan, New York, Bray representing Philly for the moment. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Monisa Mason, and I am, again, the founder and creator of Mixed Company. And I have with me my co-host, Ray Williams. Say hey, Ray.
What's up, everyone? Ray Williams from Cleveland, Ohio, currently residing in New York City. In Philly at the moment for work, so I'm taking the call remotely. Good to be here. Looking forward to the conversation tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray. So I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna have all of our panelists just briefly introduce themselves before we jump right into today's conversations. So Damon, go ahead and tell the people, give us your name, tell us where you're from, anything you want the people to know.
Damon Greenwood, Cleveland, born and raised. Still living here, and definitely looking forward to tonight's conversation. Ready to dive in with a good group of people and have a good time.
Awesome, thank you, Damon. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jenny Peoples. I am from Cleveland. I still live in Cleveland. Hopefully, I will be moving soon, and I am a kindergarten teacher.
I feel you, girl. I'm trying to leave Ohio too. Where are you trying to go?
Anywhere hot. I'm over the weather. Like, I need some sunshine all day long.
Yes, we can move together. All right, Miss Sade, go ahead.
Hey, my name is Sade Carlissa. Born and raised in Northeast Ohio. I am still here in Cleveland. And I am a spiritual alchemist, and I also work in the insurance business, and that's my story.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mike B.
Hey, Mike B. I'm in Atlanta, so for those of you trying to move, don't move here, we full, all right? So HR consultant, and looking forward to the conversation today.
Thank you, Mike B. And yes, I think I've heard plenty of times Atlanta is closed. KB.
Yo, what's good, y'all? I'm KB from Dating Explained. Excited to get into this dialogue around dating and relationships. Yeah, I'm based out of Atlanta.
Fredro.
Hello, everybody. Fredro Star. Hashtag that humble photographer, as we said. From Flint, Michigan, live in Huntsville, Alabama currently. Professional photographer, videographer, professional roller skater. Didn't mention that earlier, but I'm mentioning it now. Oh, and by the way, Huntsville is full as well. Thank you.
Y'all don't want nobody to go nowhere.
I don't think we want to come to Huntsville.
Right. We do not.
I ain't thinking about Huntsville. All right, and Kristen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kristen Brown, owner of Gold Label Cosmetics. I am from San Angelo, Texas, but I live in New York now. And that's it.
All right. So we gonna jump right into these questions. You all submitted some very interesting topics. It was hard to choose what we were going to focus on today, but we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can today. And, as we go through the questions, if you have a response, if you want to, jump in, it makes it easy if you just put your hand up on the reaction button. And we just want to make sure everybody has time to talk, and just be mindful of your time so that other people have an opportunity to jump in as well. So with that being said, let's see, how do we want to kick this thing off? All right, so let's talk about some love languages. Is love language important? And why don't we listen and act on it? Is love language important? And why don't we listen and act on it? How y'all feel about love languages?
Anyone? Shall I? No.
I think KB was about to
I'll
say
start.
something.
Okay, go ahead, KB.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I think love languages is a load of bullshit. I feel like it makes you focus in on this one thing, and us as people change all the goddamn time. So it's, you know, all of these little tests like put you in a box and like, oh, this is what you're supposed to be. You need to focus on this. And, you know, that ain't how people are. The person you dating right now might not be the same person in 5 years. So if you need to look at all the love languages if you really want to be good at it, you know what I'm saying? So I think they are BS, but I think, you know, knowing how to navigate all of them is the key.
All
All
right.
right, Sade, what you got for us?
Okay. You know what? I actually appreciate that KB came out the gate with saying it was trash, because I definitely challenges the perspective. I think that love languages are significant if you're actually focused on getting to know you, because I think the language doesn't matter when you don't understand yourself well. So it's hard to actually communicate with your partner what it is that you need if you fail in identifying that for yourself. And so love languages can be very valuable, but they also shift based on the person, because in one arena, you could be with somebody where actions speak louder because they don't do it enough, right? So then we're actually operating out of deficiency versus actually knowing yourself and what you need from a person. You could also have another love language where quality time becomes the primary thing because that person's away all the time. So if you understand you, then being able to share with somebody what your love language is becomes a little bit more influential or dynamic in growing from.
Can I jump in?
And I
Raise
think-
your hand, Fred. Kristen's
Yeah,
next.
Kristen had her hand, and then
Wait a minute, I don't see
Damien.
Hold on.
Hit the reaction button and then hit the raise your hand.
I would like to pose that. I don't actually know what all the love languages are. I know my partner's love language, but I don't know what all of them are. So if someone could happily explain them to me or tell me what the list is.
So, so the love languages are, so you have quality time, physical touch, acts of
Gift.
service,
Mhm.
gifts, giving or gift receiving. What am I missing? And
Quality time. Did you
that's
get
it. Quality time, acts of service, gifts receiving.
Words of affirmation.
Words of
Words of
affirmation. That's what it is.
No,
That's
did you
it.
say
I
physical
didn't
touch?
mute fast enough, but
Did you
Yeah,
say
physical touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are all of the love languages. So essentially the concept of the book is you want to love your significant other or family member or child, because they have different ones for different relationships, but the intention is that you're supposed to love them in their love language, and people tend to love other people based off of your own personal love language. And that's why relationships sometimes go south.
We got the
I
book
think
somewhere
they-
at home, baby. I said we have the book. I think it's in the closet.
In the closet, packed away.
Million other books packed away real tight.
Go ahead, Damon. And then Fredra.
No, I was, actually, Sade kind of stole my thunder with that, but I was just gonna say pretty much the same thing. Like I don't necessarily say they are BS, but what I will say is that they definitely do change over time. And I think a lot of people, are slow to react and slow to acknowledge the change, whether it's, letting your partner know that, hey, maybe, the acts of service was something that I was into when we were dating, but now I appreciate more physical touch, or vice versa, or whatever the case may be. Like I said, I do believe in them, and I do believe there is some legitimacy to them, to the love languages. It's just a matter of acknowledging, one, when they change, because they do change, and two, not trying to force your love language on somebody else, because that's usually where I think things go awry more so than not.
I just feel like the screen keep moving. I keep losing people. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, I mean, everybody said what I was going to say. Yeah, I think it's important. I think that it's important because at some point in time when you get, when you start to understand yourself, then I think that it's important to let your mate know some, things that kind of turns you on, and vice versa. I want to understand her and I want her to understand me. So we want to looking at each other like some crazy little gooses. So, I think it's important. I think a love language. And if we do change, I mean, it would show, and we'll be able to communicate about it. But I think it's important.
Yeah, I think, Mo, I think I was next because I just want to hop on Fred's point there. I believe it's about emotional intelligence, right? Self-awareness, self-management, relationship awareness, relationship management, right? And I think and Fred touched on it, I think Shade touched on it as well, is this recognition within ourselves of who we are and what we need and how we manage ourselves, right? Or i.e. how we love, how we recognize how we need to be loved, right? And the other piece of it is the relationship awareness. How does your partner feel, right? And how do they need to be loved, right? How do you manage that? So I do agree with KB that it's situational, right? We're not these static, people, it's dynamic. That's why I think the key to love language is again, emotional intelligence, being able to be in touch with yourself and with others.
So I think I got it next. So a couple of things. One, I appreciate the introduction of love languages because it starts the conversation, right? I think that a lot of times we go into situations, be them romantic or otherwise, without clearly defining what we need and expecting that other person to fulfill that, right? And so it's really unfair to them to have these expectations without guiding them or without, explaining to them like what we like or what we need. I do agree with KB. I think as Americans, we have this obsession with classification, right? Like we have to be one thing or another. I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan. If you want to eat vegetables, eat fucking vegetables. You don't have to announce it to the world, right? And so I feel like love languages are that same way, in which today you might want this to be this way, but I think it's a basis to start the conversation so that, someone knows, the things that make you tick, right? Like there's certain love languages that don't speak to you. And I think that's important to know also, right? Because some people just aren't super affectionate. So me hugging on them and telling them I love you all the time doesn't do it for them. And it might actually be a turnoff. So I think it's important to at least establish a baseline, so that we can get into, like Mike said, like an emotionally intelligent way to be with our partner. KB, you had your hand up. You got something else?
Yeah, I just want to give y'all just one little bit, one background on when I figured out it was BS. So I read this book right here. The book called The 5 Languages of Apology, right? So this is the next book they came out with. I mean, it's 5 languages to apologize to somebody. And I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. I'm reading through the book, but by the time you get to the end, you're like, wait, you need all of this. You can't just do one of these. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I connected all of it. I was like, oh, you just got to do all of this. You of course, you got to know when to turn it on and off, but it's like all these little tests that we take online, it kind of hurts us more than it helps us because like he said, we're putting ourselves in all these boxes and we get focused on that. And then it's like, we can't see the forest because of the trees or something like that. I don't know the saying, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I think for me, someone had said earlier that it changes. It was you, Damon, actually. And that's what I realized. I realized as I've gotten older, what I need from a significant other has changed. And what started off as maybe just one dominant love language at the age of 37, I feel like I'm up to 3 of them right now. And so while I don't essentially think that the concept of it is BS, because when I think of all the love languages, you buying me gifts is not that big of a deal to me. That's not really a love language. If you do it, cool, but that's not a big deal to me. You know, doing stuff around the house, of course, if you do some type of active service for me, I appreciate it, but it's not a big deal to me. So I think that the concept of it can be applied, but I don't think you should live your life by it, right? Because I think essentially we probably all appreciate and need a little bit of all of them. So that's why I don't feel like it's necessarily BS. And I think it's ultimately you being able to be self-aware and emotionally intelligent enough to know yourself and to know what you need to be successful in a relationship. So for me, I know that quality time is really important to me. And I know that physical touch is really important to me. And if I'm not getting those things, then I'm starting to feel a certain type of way. And that's because I know myself well enough to know that. So while I don't necessarily base my dating and who I am based off of those labels of, you know, of that, I think it's good when you're getting to know someone to have the conversation around love languages to kind of get an idea of who they are and what they like. Now, that doesn't mean if I meet a guy and we're having a conversation and he says he thinks his love language is, you know, receiving gifts, that now I'm about to start buying this man gifts all the time. But it is a mental note to kind of let me know what type of person he is and things that are valuable to him a little bit more than something else. So I think it ultimately is, and I said this same to KB and he was like, what? I ain't never heard that before, but it's some saying along the lines of, what is it? Eat the meat, spit out the bones. And so essentially it's take what you can use and get rid of all the other bullshit and the fluff, but keep what is important and what can help you in that particular situation. But I mean, I read this book at the age of like 21, 22 years old, and I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. So I think there's a little bit of value to it for sure.
Jenny, you got the floor.
I just want to say, I guess when I think of it as a means to communicate, but I just feel like I don't understand how or why or what happened to us communicating. If you think back to like your parents and grandparents, they didn't start off with, well, hey, my name is Jenny and my love language is, you know what I mean? So, and then also, if you reverse it, if I'm dating a man and he's buying me gifts, maybe his love language or the way he shows me that he cares is by that. That might not be what I receive, but if that's how he knows to show, then who are you to say, well, you're not loving me right? Because, so I guess I just feel like it's one of those things where, like you said, you got to take the meat, spit out the bones, but you also have to just be in tune with yourself. Like, I think it's too many different vehicles now to try to help you understand yourself. If you sit with yourself long enough, you will understand you. So I don't know. I have a hard time with it, especially when you meet somebody in the language that they expresses, you're like, wait a minute. So in order for me to show I love you, I gotta always touch you. You know what I mean? I don't know. For me, it's one of those things like we coming up with too much stuff now. Like, just be people and we gonna be okay.
I hear you, and I want to speak on that, Jenny, but I'm gonna let Kristen go. Go ahead.
I feel like I'm following the same path as you because I was thinking about like why this would be harmful or helpful for someone. And I know that if this person is having like an intense personality or they might have an obsessive based disorder or something, it's hard for them to get that information overload and not let that take over how they treat people. So I think like, I forgot exactly who said it, so I apologize, but emotional intelligence is important. So I think that therapy and also giving yourself some type of shadow work, talking through things with less bias, obviously you're going to be able to understand yourself. And then you can start working on love languages, because if you don't understand yourself truly and understand how you can communicate, then you're going to have a problem in the future being able to handle maybe transgressions throughout the relationship, or being able to handle a dispute without properly understanding yourself, in my opinion.
Agreed, Kristen. Fred, is your hand back up or did you not ever put it down?
Oh, it's back up.
Okay, go ahead. You got it, bro.
Yeah, this sounds so horrible, guys. Y'all making it sound bad. Like, I think that we all need every part of the love language. Yes, we do. But there's always one or two strongholds that turns you on, or something that you love, or something that you like, something that you prefer. So it's not like, oh, I'm doing too much. No, please don't. But you have to be a sucker about it. But I mean, you want to make sure they're happy and vice versa. So there's something about you that you like, that you would prefer to happen. It doesn't have to be every day, but just to keep the fire burning, in my eyes. I mean, so I don't think it's one of those moments where he's like, oh, I got to do all this. Then if that's the case, then it's something about me I got to do for you that's going to make you smile. So I mean, this not. I don't think it's a bad thing, honestly, at all. I mean, I think it's a great moment there, to take care of your mate.
And I agree with you, Fred. And one of the things that Kristen mentioned that I want to touch on, which I think is really important, and it's actually how she and I found each other, is we were both like actively single, right? And working on ourselves and figuring out who we were as individuals and what we wanted out of life without a partner, right? Like a lot of people don't know how to be by themselves. And so like we sort of put these masks on that attract whatever the people around us want, right? And then we end up unfulfilled in these relationships. And so I think what Kristen said about knowing who you are is super important. And emotional intelligence, like Mike said, is not just an outward thing, right? Like we all have a lot of, well, I won't say we all have, but many of us have a lot of trauma and experiences, right, that we haven't worked through, right? And those things manifest themselves in so many different ways, right? Like there are words that trigger me. You wouldn't know that unless I told you, right? Like there are situations that trigger women, right? Like there are so many different things that we deal with, that if we don't start to identify them and start to classify them and start to label them, right, we can never work through them. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces is really learning how to be with yourself, love yourself, and not depend on anyone else for your own happiness.
Bro, I want to like just piggyback off what Ray said, right? Do y'all know that like generational trauma is real, right? So like trauma is in everyone. If you got some melanin in your skin, right? You have literally trauma in your DNA, literally, right? So we look at this history of fractured families and all this shit we have to go through as a people, right? We've got shit, we've got baggage, we got issues. Some of the shit we've inherited, some of the shit, to Ray's point, like it's part of our shit, right? Part of our journey. So I look at emotional intelligence. I look at love languages, right? As my man Fred said, it's just tools. Right, tools that help us navigate through this crazy ass shit, right? That's just it.
Got it, you got it.
Go ahead, Sade, then we're gonna move on to the next question. I think we could talk about love languages all night.
We could, and I don't have a lot to say. I mean, Mike pretty much covered it. What I was saying was that we, and it goes into what Ray said is too, we like to classify and label everything, but we also need to understand that each of us have our own individual processes where those labels and those classifications help identification. You know what I'm saying? And it helps when we can identify who we are as individuals, because then we know how, like, belonging really has nothing to do with other people. Belonging has something to do with having a sense of self and knowing you belong as you are. So like those classifications, we can't rely on them 1,000%, but that's because everything has to be done in modification, in moderation, I guess. But it's the understanding that we do all need emotional intelligence by far. that changes your life. It changes how you have compassion for yourself as well as other people. It changes how you operate in relationships. But having something like love languages, I just agree, it's just a tool, and we can appreciate whatever tools get us to where we need to be.
Good way to end that topic. Thank you for that, Sade. Use them tools, put them tools in your tool belt and pull them out when you need them. All right, so the next question we have, can a person go out with multiple people without being judged if single until he or she is ready to date? I'll read that one more time for y'all, for the faces that I'm seeing on this screen right here. Can a person go out with multiple people without being judged if single until he or she is ready to date? Can I answer that? I think you won't be judged if you're a man. I think if a woman is dating multiple people and it is known, it's frowned upon. It's, oh, she's a hoe, she's this, that, and the third. But if a man is dating multiple people, it's expected, right? That's what men do. It's not that big of a deal. So I feel like you'll be judged depending on your sex. And I'll just leave it there so that you guys can have the floor. I don't know whose hand went up first, but I'm gonna start with you, Damon.
It was my hand first, but I'm gonna let
No,
David
Ray
go.
was first.
Oh, my bad.
Ray was first, so I'm gonna let Ray go first. It's y'all show. So
So I'll take it. And Monisa, I agree with you, right? However, I'll have to say that it's not your fault nor ours, right? Society, namely the church, namely your grandmama and your mama have told you to prepare yourself for a husband since the day you were born, right? And that's how women are taught. That's how they're conditioned. That's like Disney princesses and all of that. Like, one day your prince will come. Like, that's what they tell you. So I call bullshit on all of that, right? Because like I love like women that are in tune with themselves and know what they want. And I actually met Kristen. She was on a date when I met her, so like that sort of energy to me like speaks to someone that is very discerning about the people that they spend their time with, or someone that they're willing to shift their time to, right? So like I feel like all of those things are important, and I'm all for empowering women to do the shit that they want to do. So I push back on all those societal norms that tell a woman that they can't date men. I think that men are super insecure when they're dating because we don't want to lose women, right? But one thing that I've learned in my short time here on this earth is that shackles that are placed on women only want them to break free. So the more restrictions you put on her, the more she's going to want to go outside of that. So I don't believe in restricting women from doing anything that they want to do, but that's me.
Appreciate, and I'm gonna let Kristen go, but I just want to say this since you touched on it. I appreciate you saying that a lot of men, or most men, or some men, whatever, are insecure if they find out that a woman that they're interested in is dating multiple men, because I have experienced that a guy will ask, or that I'm going on dates with other guys or whatever, and you can tell, you can feel the shift of the energy. They try to make it seem like, oh, it's cool, we single, do your thing, but you can tell that it's kind of a problem, right? So I appreciate actually hearing it from a man saying that it does make some guys feel a type of way, because I've definitely experienced that. And it's unfortunate because when the tables are turned, then the women are supposed to be cool with men going on multiple dates. But anyways, go ahead, Kristen.
I'll just go back to, I remember like, obviously before I met Ray, I was dating this guy and he was having a really hard time with the concept. It was frustrating to him. And I was like, well, don't you compete for everything else? Like, don't you try and do better at your job or try and get a higher salary? Don't you play football with your friends? Don't you like play cards and like, you know, all things, and you're competitive when you do it. And then when it comes down to me, I'm supposed to just be waiting for you on a slab, like just here's your, like, you don't even earn a victory. So for me, it's like, if you don't earn me, then what's the point? I would rather be with somebody who will put effort in and see that there is a person who's worth dating, whether I'm dating multiple or just dating this person, put some effort in. I think that that's more of my focus and has always been my focus. So if some guy's like, oh, you're dating multiple people, I'm like, well, then get to either do better or get off.
Step it up.
Yeah, and I know that like I'm way doper than any nigga that she would ever like date. So like it was like, you know, I don't care what he's doing, right? And I kind of feel like, so I know Mike and I know Fred, and I know that they feel the same way. Like I don't give a fuck about what another nigga is doing, right? Like that's just not my ministry. It's not how I live my life. I don't live my life based on what the next man is doing, right? I'm just me, and that has gotten me pretty far in life, and it's allowed me to meet some amazing people, a lot of these people on this panel. So yeah, I feel like if more of us, you know, like we're comfortable and confident in ourselves, we wouldn't be worried about what the next man is doing. Sorry if I took somebody else's shine.
Yeah, Damon, let Damon talk.
Oh, Damon, my bad, baby, you got it.
No, I mean, again, it's just, you know, kind of piggybacking what you said, like, you know, I'm gonna go a different route too, but I will say those societal norms, that was definitely something that had been placed on women for a long time that honestly, I think has kind of role reversed lately. That's me personally, and that's me experiencing it. You know, I've been, you know, single for a while now. But, you know, going on multiple dates, dating multiple people. And I have even, you know, which is weird, I've got it from my friends where, and this is something that's come out recently in the last couple months or so, there was like, oh, well, you know, he's just a hoe, you know, he ain't gonna never get married. He don't never want to settle down. I was like, whoa, you know, I was like, hey, slow down. Like, where are y'all getting this information from? I've always been the settle down type, but I'm not just gonna settle for anything. So, you know, kind of back to what Kristen said, it's like you gotta, you know, if you want to be with me, you gotta fight for me. You gotta show me you want to be here. You gotta show me what it is that, you know, and I think that works both ways. And I think men, me personally, and from what I'm experiencing, and maybe my friend groups and stuff like that, are starting to experience that more, that men are becoming the more, hey, you know, not only am I gonna fight for you, but I need you to fight for me. Show me you want to be with me too. It's not just about me giving you the roses and the candy and the dates and, you know, supplying all your needs. I need you to also do that for me also, to show me that you want to be here. So, you know, but
buddy, you touched on something there, David. Mike, you got it.
That's a word right there, and I think that could be a whole another topic for another day. But I definitely agree with you on that. As much as a woman wants to be courted, so to speak, men should equally be courted as well. You know, if you pick me up for a date and you bring me flowers, I love it, right? But best believe one of the second, third dates, I'm taking mental notes of things that we've talked about, and I'm gonna roll up on you with your favorite bag of candy, just because I remember I heard you say in a conversation, you like this type of candy. I mean, I did that for a guy a few weeks ago. Like, I mean, I think it definitely goes both ways. And unfortunately, women have this mindset that, oh, I'm the catch and you got to do for me, you got to do for me. But it's like, no, baby girl, you also got to show that man that he's a catch and that he's worth worth the attention, and he's worth the effort as well, because that's what's going to sustain your relationship. Your relationship can't always be about give me, make sure I'm good, cater to my needs. You got to also make sure you're catering to your man's needs, because as we all know, if you're not catering to each other's needs, then that's when we start having people that's stepping out on their relationship, or they're looking at other people because they're not being fulfilled in what's going on within the confines of their relationship. So these are conversations that I definitely think that we need to have more frequently around women being able to swallow their pride and be willing to step up and show a man that just as much as I want you to do for me, baby, I'm gonna do for you too. I like roses, but I know you like this candy, or I know you like whatever. It doesn't even have to be something really expensive, whatever the case may be. So I appreciate you, Damon, for bringing attention to that. And hopefully we can continue to have conversations around it because it's definitely needed. Go ahead, Mike.
I think
That's
that's
all
the
right.
sorry,
Mike, then KB.
All right, so like, Damon, to your point, right? The switching in terms of gender roles, men now call fuck boys, right? They use that, that term fuck boys, right? And women now, y'all got that song, it's old now, but what's that chick, Love Them All? They think I love them, but love them, what's that chick's name?
K. Michelle.
K. Michelle.
Right, you know what I'm saying? And she like illustrating perfectly the shift in like gender roles. The other thing about it, right, is we got a lot of people, entrepreneurs on the call right now, right? Say you got an open position, right? What do you do for that open, position? You fucking interview for it, right? You interview multiple candidates, right? And so everything I learned about relationships, I learned from HR. I got married using HR principles, right? And one of the core principles was, yo, I know who I am. I know what I'm looking for in this open position, right? But I also identified what are the competencies I need in this position, right? What does this person need to do, right? Because I know where I'm going. What do they need to do, right? And so, me going out and asking questions, hey, are you compassionate? Do you resolve, conflict well and all that type of shit? I can't ask those questions on a date, but what I can do is I can observe that woman being compassionate. I can observe that woman resolving conflict in a meaningful way, right? And so I do think it's appropriate for you to, men and women to date, right? To get out there and see what you want, screen all these goddamn candidates, you know what I'm saying? Have your little phone interview and shit, right? And then have, all that other shit, right? Do all that shit, right? And then select them. But you also have to be transparent, right? And say, hey, look, I'm going through this process. I got multiple people apply for this role. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, whatever. We're gonna see where this shit goes. Go through the process, right? So I think if you're doing that shit, it makes a whole lot of sense, right? Because there's a process that you're following, right? Just have some integrity about
it. Integrity is key. Go ahead, KB.
What was the original question again? I just want to make sure I'm on target here. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go off. What was the original question again? Just to bring us back. Oh, you're on mute. You're muted.
So I didn't erase the question, but it was something along the lines of dating multiple people and not being judged for dating multiple people.
Okay. Right. So I think it depends on y'all already touched on the traditional side of it. You know what I'm saying? I think it depends on yourself too, right? Like if you go out for more traditional men, you're gonna run into that problem where they want only you. You know what I'm saying? That's where the values lie. So if you're a more traditional person, you're probably gonna date traditional people. They ain't gonna be with that modern everybody dating. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. So I think a little bit starts with yourself and knowing who you are. And I think the second piece is like how you do it. Like Mike said, like, they actively calling out fuck boys and Future is a villain. You know what I'm saying? I still be trying to check the receipts on what Future did that was so bad outside of having all them babies, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Let's not have that conversation tonight, please.
Yeah, but so like even now I'm 36. If I was like in the streets, like going hard like that, people would come at me like, man, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like they would come at me a little sideways, like, bro, what's really going on, man? Like what basically, and what I'm hearing is they be like, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? So I think it depends on like who you are and how you do it. Like, are you doing fuckboy shit? Are you doing it in a way where you're honest and open and transparent with the people? Then I think it's cool. You know what I'm saying? If you set that precedence early with anybody, man or woman, I think you'll be straight. But it's like I said, you got to know who you dating. You dating a traditional dude, he won't, they ego like glass, goddamn. So you can't even play with them like that. You know what I'm saying? You dating somebody more modern. We can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? We can, you going out with Plan B tonight. You know what I'm saying? We can have some fun with it. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't gonna get that with the traditional fellas generally. And I'm just speaking generally, not all the traditional dudes. So don't come at me like that if you're a traditional nigga in the comments.
So are you traditional, KB?
Nah, I'm a modern country boy. So my base is in the country, you know, I got chickens, raising pigs and shit, but I've been in this modern world too long. So I'm about that modern life and I'm calling out niggas when I see it. You know what I'm saying?
Good shit, KB. I appreciate that.
Call 'em out,
Chris,
call 'em
Kristen
out.
and Sade.
Okay, I think to answer the original question, I think that people do judge. I think the reasons why they judge has a lot to do with their comfortability with themselves. And it's kind of like what everybody said, it's like a self-esteem thing too, because if you pay attention and y'all grown, so y'all done dated people, somebody always at the top. And pay attention. You could have a whole slew, a whole roster, and there's an MVP every single time. So it also has something to do with how you feel about why you're dating, what you're doing, like what is the security system? Because a lot of times we keep other people around just in case, not because we're intentionally dating, you know, with purpose, so to speak. So it also depends on how that person is dating. So a lot of times people are judging based on their preferences, what they're assuming versus knowing themselves. I feel like anybody who has value and substance should definitely interview to make sure that the person is the best fit for you. You should have multiple candidates because everything ain't gonna be a guarantee, but you should, like everyone said, has a level of transparency as to how you want to convey that to other people. Are you playing the role like this person is the only one and you got 4 others? That's not integral. You got to see how people's values work, but you shouldn't place judgment. But typically that's because we're uncomfortable with ourselves. That's my stuff.
Big facts. Kristen, you got the floor.
I was gonna say that exactly, so I'm like, perfect, so I can say my other part of what I was gonna say. Because I was like, it depends on what you have a purpose for in your dating, you know, and I've, you know, especially when I was, not gonna say it, but when I was much younger, you know, there were certain guys that I was like, I mean, I'll go out to dinner, but I'm not even considering you as a candidate, my boyfriend. Don't judge me. I was young.
I'm
However,
judging because that's why the dating pool is so fucked up now because
Sorry, player.
y'all are going out with niggas that y'all don't really fuck with. But go
And
ahead.
on the other side of the spectrum, there are a few salacious individuals who have put the dating pond in a way that we just have to decide, like, okay, what are we trying to get? Because y'all can't act right. And then the other side of what I was trying to say is that oversaturation ruins your ability to actually get to know the person. I think that can be a problem too. It's one thing to date multiple people, but it's another issue to have a bunch of people you can't give focus to when you need to. You know, like mistaking information from this person with that person and everybody just mushing together. That's not the intention that I think anybody should have if they're trying to date seriously. And I think that's a lot of, at least for women, I know that we have that problem with men. We find that a lot of men that we're interested in are dating too many girls. We can't even like have an intentional dating process with them. It's just a day and a week.
Yeah, so to your point, so I feel like me meeting Kristen was a bit of an anomaly, right? Because like, and I tell people this all the time, like pretty babes come a dime a dozen. So pretty don't really mean shit to me, right? Like pretty is like a very small piece of what I need in a woman, right? And when I met Kristen, like she spoke to something in me that like she didn't need me, right? She was hanging out with me because she wanted to. And I think that was probably the most attractive thing, right? Is that like her energy was like, yeah, nigga, I'm here because I want to be, not because I need you. But a lot of women have this like need-based like attraction to men, right? Like I need you to take me to dinner. I need you to pay my bills. I need you to do this. And like honestly, like if y'all would shut up sometimes and just let us do shit, we would do it. But when you tell me that you want me to do it, I'm not gonna do it. And like that is, and I'm not speaking about you all as a whole. I'm speaking about just some of my own experiences of setting the expectation for a man that you just met. That man that you just met doesn't owe you shit. And I think that is a huge issue in dating, is that like someone said earlier, like, yes, woman, you are the prize, right? But you got to show me that you're the prize, right? Like, just you being pretty doesn't qualify you for being the prize. Like, there has to be more to it. And I think that a lot of times, you know, when a woman comes into a situation with their own bag, with, you know, like with their own squad, right? Like, Krista had hoes when I met her, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like when they come giving that same energy that you're giving, like that changes the game. And if we can meet on that level, right, where you're like, I'm here because I want to be, not because I need to be. I think that is really like the ultimate equalizer, is when we're both here because we want to be.
Yes, come through. Y'all two so cute. Let me get me a boo so I can invite them on Mixed Company too. All right, so we're going to move on to the next question. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Mental health is a major topic. How do we normalize discussing mental health with new romantic partners or love interests? When should this be discussed? Y'all want me to read that one more time?
Yeah, read it one more time, and
One more
then Fred can go, and I've got something to say about it too.
All right, cool. All right, so the question is, mental health is a major topic. How do we normalize discussing mental health with new romantic partners or love interests? And when should this be discussed? Go ahead, Fred.
All right, so am I muted? Okay. All right, so I think that it should be definitely at the forefront right at the beginning, off the gate, just trying to, you know, have casual conversation about your past and where you come from and what happened. How did you get out of your last serious relationship or marriage, or, you know, whatever it may have been. You want to talk about it because you want to make sure that you are healed. You know, how are you feeling? You know, honestly, you know, you want to be transparent at the beginning if y'all in that serious relationship or y'all taking it there. So it's time to be transparent and talk about it, you know, because you may still be hurt. You may still need some counseling. And if you're a team player, you may want to go counseling with your potential, you know, just to help make sure that she or he is healed, you know, completely before you go on to the next level, because they're going to bring that same luggage over. And then, you know, now it's going to really cause more catastrophe for everybody in the house now. So I'm going to stop right there, and I may come back later, depending on what everybody else say.
So I agree with you, Fred. I don't agree with going on a first date and telling people all of my mental trauma issues and all of that. I don't agree with that, right? However, I do think that before I become serious with someone, like, it's important to at least have real conversations about real situations and real things. There are things and you know that people wouldn't know about you. So for example, I'm a junior, but I don't have a relationship with my father, right? So when people refer to me as junior, that's a trigger for me and it bothers me, right? Like, that's not something that Kristen knew until I told her, right? So like those are things that I feel like definitely need to be discussed. But I wouldn't throw them on to anyone in the beginning. But what about how do we normalize mental health or conversations about mental health? I think it's important for cool ass people like Mike B, like Fred, like KB, right? To use their platforms and their coolness, because those are some of the coolest men that I know, to have those conversations, right? Like, and to post about it, or to, you know, to normalize it, because, you know, marketing 101 is putting cool shit in the hands of cool people. And so if Mike B says something is cool, right, then that's a whole demographic of people that thinks it's cool or thinks it's okay. And so I use these men as placeholders for anyone that has a platform or influence, to really start to normalize those conversations, right? Like, we normalize going to the doctor, eating healthy, going to therapy. You know, like when we have those conversations, people listen. And I think it's important for us to be aware of that and to continue to shine a light on things that have helped us along the way, and to make sure that people, you know, that might not be so comfortable with themselves can see that people that look like them, people that they look up to, people that they might admire, have those same struggles and have worked to go through them or to get through them.
Can I piggyback off what Ray said real quick? So so earlier, Mo, you asked me a question. You said you're trying to figure out how many kids you got, right? And I laughed it off, like ha ha ha, right? But Ray knows this. I lost my son 2 years ago to cancer, right? So sometimes I struggle with, like, you know, how do I communicate how many kids I have, right? So it's just a mental shit I'm still working through, right? But what I've learned, the biggest thing I've learned of this journey, right, is to be fucking vulnerable, right? And the people who are gonna fuck with you, they're gonna fuck with you regardless. And if you ain't fucking with me, you know, it's all good, right? Drake had this line, I fucking love it. He says, funny how you have to wait to see when it's dark to see who's really with you, some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And I learned through my struggle who's with me, right? So to Ray's point, I post it all the time about my son, right? And I use that as fucking, I'm in therapy. I stay in therapy. I know it's a journey, right? So I don't think you lead with the shit, right? But I think it's important that you live in your truth, right? I mean, because we all got shit we fucking dealing with, right? Just own the shit, right? And then manage yourself through it.
Good point.
I am so
you got
sorry, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. And I just want to express my condolences and just apologize for that joke. I had no idea, so I just want to apologize.
No, but that's the other part, right? I ain't take it personally. You know what I'm saying? That shit I have to, like, I'm living in this world, so I have to be able to respond to people and shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's not your thing. That's my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I said, caught me off guard, like, but I'm getting through it. We good.
And that's the emotional intelligence piece, right? Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if you heard me, Mike, but when you moved the first time, I was like, oh shit, you got Vincent in the picture, like I was like, but I didn't speak on it, but I saw what that picture was, right? So we had a moment that no one else knew about. So we appreciate you for being vulnerable in the moment, man. Jenny, you got the floor.
The one thing I want to say is I do think that needs to be an early conversation, but I also think we need to take hold of the fact that mental health is real now. So we need to, I tell my students to use their looking eyes. Y'all know I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I have to make everything plain. Use your eyes and listen, because I think a lot of times something that's very traumatic or heavy or hard, people are not going to be willing to just tell you. They have to trust you, and they have to feel like telling you is important. But a lot of things you can see with your eyes if you really pay attention. And I think that the generation that we live in, we don't pay attention enough. Somebody doesn't have to necessarily tell me that they have some trauma. I can tell by the way they move. I can tell by how far they're willing to go. I can tell by the way that they communicate. I was a mental health counselor, so that may be the reason, but I'm just in tune with feelings, and I work with little kids. So I have to be able to understand how they feel without them being able to tell me. And I think that as grown adults, if we were able to just be able to look and use our eyes to tell things, it would just make it a little bit easier. Because I'm not going to start with, well, when I was a kid, I didn't have my dad. You know what I mean? But once I feel comfortable with you, I will share that. But some things you can just tell from the beginning. So I think we need to be in tune with people and ourselves and look at that nonverbal communication.
So I done lost track on the order of whose hands went up. So I'm going to just slide it on over to KB and then Sade.
Yeah, I think that's right. I totally agree. What was just said, I was going to say something along the same lines. Like, when I'm first dating somebody, like I definitely don't have those type of heavy conversations, because I know it's like it's a dead end. You know what I'm saying? If I come at somebody like asking about some deep mental health issues, like it's a dead end. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna fuck me up in my dating. You know what I'm saying? I might not get a second date or something like that. So I'm gonna be listening though. Like I think about, okay, where do you experience your first trauma? It's probably with your relationship with your parents or your siblings, or I look at your friend relationships. So I'll dive deep into, how your friend? Do you have a best friend? Oh, you ain't got no best friend? Like, oh, how does that work? You know what I'm saying? Who do you talk to? Like I dive into their initial relationships. So I find out all I need to know from, how they family stuff go, how they, all that tells me some things, right? By the time I get to having direct conversations, oh, she chosen. Like this the one I want to tell my secrets to. This the one I want to invest in. You know what I'm saying? So now we talking directly. Okay, this the one. But before that, I'm talking about her family. How are your friends? Like, oh, how did you handle that disagreement with your friend? Because they're gonna tell you, even their coworkers, how they handle disagreements with their coworkers. Because sometimes I be dating girls, I'm like, damn, you was wrong as fuck. And I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, baby, yeah. That like, no, I'm like, oh, well, how did that happen? And the more questions I ask, I won't say you wrong, but I'm gonna ask you 10 more questions. You gonna know what's up.
That's funny. Go ahead, Sade.
Okay, yeah, I understand where KB is coming from, where you might not want to make it heavy in the beginning, but I loved what Mike said, that you have to normalize. Like you actually have to, if you're vulnerable and you're transparent, I think that's what our generation and maybe Gen Z, the 20s, they have trouble with vulnerability, which means that we're not making authentic connections with people in general. That's why they can't communicate. That's why they can't recognize their emotions. That's why narcissism is now a household name, like a household word and term that people use, because we've created so many false narratives to live up to, so many roles to play, that we don't identify self as much anymore. So I think that sometimes it's easier to normalize it by making it a part of the conversation. Like I know most of us probably watch The Breakfast Club. I love that Charlamagne the God always talks about therapy, and he asks people about how they're doing, and it's kind of like if we normalize it in our conversation, then partnerships. So I said, like you said, romantic partners and love interests, we learn a lot from the people we date, a lot from ourselves, about that person. Like we probably build a lot of our character based on who we actually couple with, how we learn how to groom, just our lives, we shape around relationships very often. So if we don't normalize those aspects of it, if we don't talk about like, I have gone to counseling for this, or, I have struggled in this area because this was painful for me, or yeah, I do struggle with anxiety from time to time. Like if those don't become a regular conversation, then it's hard to really build a strong foundation in trust if you can't be vulnerable in the beginning.
I just want to jump in and then I'm gonna hand it over. Mike, did you raise your hand again? Okay, I'm gonna just jump in real quick and then I'm gonna move on to the next question. So I think one thing that kind of comes to mind as we're having this conversation, when we're thinking about having these conversations with potential love interest and everything, I think it boils down to, from my experiences, you can go deep depending on the person. Some conversations, if it's the right person, if it's the right questions, if you're really listening, there are plenty of opportunities very early on to have some of those very serious conversations, and it's not scary. It's very organic, right? I've been on first or second dates or first or second conversations, and we go deep because the right questions are being asked, or you listen to somebody's response, and then it sparks something in you to want to maybe ask another question, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. And so I think where dating is lacking these days is people don't know how to communicate. People don't know how to just ask the right questions. We are too old to be talking about your favorite color and your favorite restaurant. And no, we need to start being a little more intentional when we are meeting people to really learn them and get to know them. And so if you're asking the right questions, or if you're really paying attention to what someone says or how they're saying something, or if you're on a date, you're paying attention to their body language. All of those cues can open up opportunity to have some deeper conversations for you to even realize if this is the person for me, because you're getting straight to it, but in an organic way. And so I think that's my issue with dating these days. Some conversations just aren't, there's no substance there, right? So you find yourself going on 3-4 dates and you sitting there like, we ain't really talked about nothing, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that's another thing that's really important is paying attention to the person that you're with, because sometimes you'll get answers to your questions and it won't even be verbalized if you're just paying attention. So that's just been my personal experience, but I'm going to move on to the next question. We're already at 8:15.
Hold on, Mo, before you go. I'm sorry, Mike and Sade, were your hands up for this topic?
I'm
Okay,
down.
calm down. So I just want to push back on that just a little bit, Mo. So I feel like the dating with intention, I have to push back on that just a little bit, because so I think being open to a relationship is very different than pursuing one, right? And I think that's sort of where we were when we met, was that I was open to the idea of a relationship, but I wasn't necessarily looking for one. And I feel like when we were looking for something, that we're putting, whomever that potential suitor is, like that's a lot of pressure for someone, right? If we don't necessarily know if we're going to mesh or not, right? So I think intention should be a personal thing, right? But it should be more of, I'm open to the idea of a relationship, not I'm searching for one and I potentially want it with you. That's just my only thought on dating as a whole. It's just being open to a relationship, not necessarily looking for one. That's all I wanted to add.
Well, yeah, but even in dating, the foundation should be friendship, right? So even if we're having conversations and this is opening up the space for me to just get to know you as a friend, and then whatever comes from that. So whether the intention is for it to become romantic, or whether you realize that, okay, there's no romantic spark, but this is a great person that I want in my life, no matter what role they end up playing in your life, you still have that foundation of getting to know each other on a deeper level.
Okay. What's the next topic?
Well, I want to say bye to everybody. Sorry, I got to roll. I'm getting cussed out.
No worries.
My sister's birthday and her party is going on now, and I am getting cussed out by everybody. So
happy birthday, sis. Damon, thank you for coming on, man.
You guys are great. I would love to be a part of anything else in the future. If you feel free, if you're up to it, please, please call me. But thank you for everything. You guys are great.
Can you drop your social media in the chat before you jump off, please? Thanks, bro.
Yes, it's in the chat. You can pretty much find me on all socials by my name: Facebook, Twitters, Instagram. If you search my name, you'll find me. Even though everybody call me Diamond instead of Damon, you can find me up there. Or if not, just hit Nisa up. She can find me. I knew her for years too. So you guys are awesome. I'm glad to meet you all. Can't wait to have the next conversation and keep this conversation going, because I think it's well needed. And since you I know you cut off by 8:30, I'm gonna leave you last 15 minutes, because I think some of these conversations can go on for like hours without.
Yes. Thank you so much, Damon.
All right, peace. Love y'all. Catch y'all later.
Love you too. All right, so I'm gonna pivot. So KB dropped a question from the comments. Thanks for catching that. So I'm gonna throw that out. I'm gonna throw this question out there because I think it's a good question since we're talking about dating and all that good stuff. So Jameson asked, why are you dating if you aren't looking for a relationship?
Oh, I'll take that first.
Yo, HR, right? HR. I got this job open. It's a temporary job. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be transactional with that, right? Because I just need people to come in and do this job, right? I need to be open and honest. Yo, this is a temporary job, right? You ain't gonna be hired full time or whatever, temporary job. As opposed to, yo, I know what I want, right? And so I got this full-time opportunity, right? I'm going to invest in someone, make sure I hire the right person, right? We all got needs, right? Even me back in my backslide days when I was in Cleveland, that's probably why you didn't know me, Mo, right? But it's, you know what I'm saying? But I was looking for that temporary, temporary type shit, right? And it's okay to do that sometimes, right? But you gotta be open and honest with it as a, and then when you're ready for some real shit, then, you move to that like permanent type of role.
So I just want to interject this, and then Jenny, and then Sade. So most people are looking for companionship, not necessarily a relationship, right? And so dating gives us an opportunity to have that companionship, and then someone that you choose to continue that with is who you end up in a relationship with. So dating, and this is what I was saying to Mo earlier, like that intention. I've always thought that a relationship should be the result of a good interaction, not the goal of one, right? And so that's, I think, where I differ in a lot of my interaction, is that I'm not necessarily looking for something, but I'm open to it if it happens. Jenny, you've got the floor.
So I guess it just depends on where you are. Like dating defined is different for several people. I know growing up in the church, like you date with a purpose, you date to have a relationship, but some people are just not looking for that. Like you said, they want a companion, somebody to hang out with, do fun things with, that is all. So whenever you get into that space, you have to know what the definition is for that group of people, and then you have to go with that. But I'm 37, so I'm not dating no more to be friends and just hang out. Like I could take myself out to do those things, but it's one of those things where you have to be able to communicate that. So that's just my part.
Okay, so
Sade, you've got it.
yeah, I think Jenny hit it when she said it's about stages. It's about where you are in life. Like I think a lot of people don't even understand themselves, let alone trying to understand what they could be to someone else without trying things out. You know what I mean? I think that's also why people get into long-term relationships prematurely, get into marriages that fail because they don't understand who they are as individuals. So how can they make the intention for certain levels of commitment without really getting to know themselves? And sometimes you don't know if you don't experiment, if you don't try, if you don't get to know, if you're not doing certain things, you don't get to a space where you actually get to know who you are. So I get, people saying, why are you dating if you're not looking for a relationship? But I'm dating because I'm getting to know myself. I want to try new things. I want to be with other people. I want to see what your interests are, and maybe if I could be interested too. It's a process. Also, if you got somebody fresh out of a relationship, a new relationship might not be the healthiest decision for that person. So it just depends on where that individual is. So I agree with what Jenny was saying.
Thank you for that. Did anybody else want to add to that?
I just want to add that Mike is blessing my life with this analogy to HR. Because you just got me thinking. I mean, it makes sense though, the way he's saying it. I'm like, wait a minute. So am I looking for a full-time employee?
Right.
Like, so
I love it.
That really, like, you got to start thinking of stuff like that. So I just want to say, you blessing my life with it.
Yeah.
We all that's single on this call about to start doing dating differently because of that HR concept. About to start looking at applications, resumes, cover letters, phone screens.
Yo, legit. I got married off that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Is it contract based? Are you W-2 or 1099, baby?
Nigga, I'm W-2, bitch.
Mike, I'm gonna need you to write a book or something that just breaks down the steps.
No, Mike. We're doing this. We're gonna start this shit tonight, bro. It's an ebook called Dating the HR Way.
Right.
Fact.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next question. How important is, wait, hold on, where am I at? Okay, here we go. How early and in what depth do you discuss finances? How early and in what depth do you discuss finances? Let me tell y'all real quick. This guy asked me in the very first conversation what my salary was, and I was just like clutching my pearls. You don't ask me that type of question in our very, very first conversation. But Ray, who had their hand up first? I can't even tell.
So the order that you see them are the order in which they raise their hands. So it's Jenny, Kristen, Fred, then me, then KB.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, Jenny girl.
That's no, that's not right. No, it wasn't. Well, okay.
Well, we ain't heard from
You go
Fred in a
first.
while. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Fred. We ain't heard from you. Go ahead.
I'm being
Fred
funny.
hand was up
I'm a
first.
jokester,
Jenny
y'all.
had her
I'm
hand
just
up
playing.
already though, so she's still first. So it's Kristen, then Fred.
Go ahead, Chris.
I actually was going to talk about the previous question, so I'll make it brief. I think that your energy needs to get checked before you date or pursue dating or you're open to dating. Because I've seen a few people who have this animosity towards their preferred sex, and it's weird to me. It's like, do you want this kind of person in your life, or are you trying to punish people for existing? And if that's the kind of existence that you're in, you're not going to bring a positive relationship your way. You're going to keep on talking about how people are trash because you asked for trash. That's all.
Go ahead, Fred.
All right. So since you said this is fourth quarter, right? This is the end, right? So I'm gonna try to be serious for a second here. But my man KB was wiggling, so I can't wait to hear his answer. I feel like he got something to say. But so this question is: there's a fine line between knowing somebody's salary, credit score, information, and at the beginning stages of meeting someone. I think that you have to be a seasoned person that's been there and done that and ain't got time to be playing any more games. I'm looking for a partner now, somebody who we can meet in the middle and gain from this point, So he or she is jumping the gun, asking questions, but it's about how you ask. It's all about your presentation. I mean, that's the key thing. You don't just bust on and say, hey, so what's your salary you make? Who you work for? You work for the government? What's your salary? Like, whoa, that's a turnoff. Like, you trying to just live off me or something? Or what's going on? But there's a fine line between that. You got to be careful how you ask those questions and when you ask. But I don't see nothing wrong at the dinner table talking about, again, your history. What happened? What happened in your past? Or are you okay now? Where do you work at? How long you been working there? What is your goal in the next 5 years about it? And then you might be able to ask about that credit score. You never know. May I ask you about your credit score? I hate to sound like that, but I just want to know where you are because I can help you. We can help each other gain. Or, I don't know, this is what may not work for us because, so it's a fine line on my end. So you just gotta be careful how you ask the presentation.
So
you're saying that it's okay to ask those questions on the first date if you do it in a way that is still kind of like respectful, strategic, organic.
Okay, let me say this. Go back to our second question earlier today. There's meeting people and going out to eat with people and enjoying each other. Then there's a time when you decide to date this person. They may ask you a question when you mingling with this person. You may say, we'll talk about that if we take it to that next level. So now that you're dating this person, I'm assuming that this person that you're dating is now, just that person now. You exclusive with this person. If you're exclusive with this person, now let's take it to that next level with deeper questions now. And see, we're going to take it to that next level after that. So if you're dating someone, I'm assuming it is exclusive now. You're exclusive. You can ask the questions now. Let's talk about it.
So Fred, a couple of things that I want to touch on. One, I think that corporations have made us be secretive with our salary. And that's something that's changing, right? That corporate structure is changing. Salary transparency is becoming a thing because there's inequity in salaries because people don't talk about it, right? So that's not just in relationships, but that's within companies. So the other piece of that is that marriages are contracts, right? Like you are entering into a contract with someone else to take on their debt, to take on like everything that they're responsible for. So like that conversation has to be had So how early it happens, I think that's sort of, it depends on where you guys are. But to Fred's point, like, I want someone that is comfortable with my lifestyle, right? I think a lot of times women can marry up. It's a little more difficult for men to marry up. I'm very happy to say that I've married up, but a lot of men are uncomfortable with that. They're uncomfortable with the woman that might, make more than them, or or have more power and influence in certain industries than they do. I think that I think it's important to have those discussions, because realistically, if I make 150 grand a year, I shouldn't be dating, or I shouldn't want to date a woman that makes 30 or 40, right? Like, because a lot of the responsibility of my lifestyle, bringing her into that lifestyle, is going to fall on me, unless I'm just cool with that. And a lot of men are okay with that because for them, it represents a power dynamic that they get to exploit. Like if you,
Ray, you got to remember, that's 30 grand. That's 30 grand extra that can go to something
whoa. Sorry, stop. So I hear you. That's if it's a partnership, but we're talking about just dating, right? So if I'm dating someone, like, her lifestyle at $30,000 is not the same as my lifestyle at 150. It's just not. Can we agree to that, Fred? If I found a partner, we haven't had that conversation, right? Then cool. If this is someone that I'm bringing into my life, and then our household income is now 180, that's a very different conversation than if I am introducing someone into a lifestyle that they weren't familiar with before. That's a decision that you have to make on your own if you want to date someone that's not in your tax bracket.
Why are you communicating? It may be not her fault. She may not be able to have the luxury of getting the raise and getting that bonus. She had a glass ceiling in her career, which she just can't.
I'm not talking about fault. I'm talking about actual. What I know is that if there was a woman that made 150 grand, she, in all likelihood, is not going to date a guy that's making 40. Can we agree to that?
Disagree.
What? Bro, we are not going to sit here and have this conversation like a woman is going to date a guy that's making $40,000 if she's making 200. Get out of here.
Dude, you talking about money versus a heart. A woman wants a guy that takes care of her.
Absolutely, I'm talking about money versus the heart because heart don't pay the bill.
Close this laptop now.
Bro,
you're wrong, dude.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah, because let's just be real.
You're all full of shit, and I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. KB, go ahead.
Yeah, let KB jump in. KB had his hand up for a while. Go ahead, KB.
I'm just enjoying the exchange right here. I wanted to see how that ended up. But I mean, all right. I'm grounding myself on what the question was, but I think it was around money.
I'm about to mute myself for the rest of the night, KB. So you got the floor.
But all right. So I've been on both sides of this thing where I probably been dating a girl for 6 months. I ain't even know what her job was. We was just vibing that hard. I ain't never get around and asking what her job was. I ain't really care. But also now when I date, I'm early, like when Mo was saying that the dude asked her when he first talked, I was like, was that me? Because I be wanting to know soon, right? Because like Ray said, like corporations done fucked up our heads with the salary shit. We should all know each other's salary so we get more money. We know what we're worth. We're there. We should be open with salaries, right? So if I'm asking you what's your salary, I just need the data points so I can make a decision. You know what I'm saying? I'm not tripping. If you make 40, I'm not tripping. I just need to know, am I ready for that responsibility? Am I ready to take that on? Okay, if I'm vibing with that, cool. Okay, cool. Let's
That's
run it.
all I said,
You know what I'm
KB.
saying? Yeah, I feel you.
To introduce her into that space. That's all I said.
No,
I feel you. So it's like, so it's like early on in dating, you really got to take all the data points you can so you can make a informed decision. Mike with HR, You know what I'm saying? You need
No.
all the data you
You
can
do.
to make
do.
a relevant decision. You know what I'm saying?
You-
I'm gonna pass off the mic right there. What's up,
No,
bro?
but no, you do, bro. But I'm gonna tell you this, right? It's like what you're really looking for, right? When we talk about making evidence-based decisions, is you can have a chick who's making 30, or anyone, right? Making 30, 40, $50,000 a year, right? It's about how they act. What are they doing? What are those behaviors, right? Are they responsible, right? Are they demonstrating some fiscal responsibility, right? That's the hot shit right there, right? Identify that, right? Because if you have someone making, I know people who are making $200,000-$300,000 a year, they fucking check the check. Why? Because their spending habits are all fucked up, right? So
Thank you.
again, when you're looking for people, right, to date, focus on like, what are those key competencies you're looking for? And so in HR, we say, oh, you're looking for teamwork, the ability to collaborate, communication, whatever, right? And somebody touched that shit earlier, right? I'm looking for conflict resolution skills, right? I'm not gonna ask you again if you can fucking resolve conflict. I'm gonna look in your life to see how you have you resolved conflict. Same thing with financial management. I'm not gonna ask you how much money. I don't give a fuck how much you make. Like what you what you don't make me shit, right? No,
I
for
care.
me, again, that brother, I respect that, right? But for me, I'm more interested in like, what are your financial behaviors like, right? Because that's the shit I fucking need to know.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add this. It might be a little controversial. I think for women, and I hate when I start with for women because I know I'm about to say something I probably shouldn't even say because I ain't a woman. But I'm gonna say for women, I feel like if they remove that money restriction, it might open up the dating pool to some nicer men. I'm just saying it might. You know what I'm saying? If we eliminate it, if we eliminate it. It might, I'm saying if we eliminate this whole lifestyle conversation, like, oh, they need to fit into my lifestyle. They absolutely need to fit into my lifestyle. If you look at that as saying, how can I make this work? You might find nicer men. You might find, nicer guys. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, Ray, my man.
Go ahead, Sade. You had your hand up.
Listen, I was over here waiting for everybody else to say something. I'm like, oh, this is funny. Because I agree with. For me, it comes from a different perspective because I was always a person who was character first, and then all this other stuff later. But I do realize that certain things go hand in hand. See, so a man who has a certain type of quality about himself, a man who is ambitious, a man who is a go-getter is not going to be satisfied in certain financial brackets for too long after a certain age.
Sade.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sister.
So like you have to qualify and quantify based on character too. And so sometimes you can go and say, oh, I really care about this great guy, but this great guy who you have to always lend a little bit of money here, or you got to figure out how he gonna fix his credit, or you trying to clean up this, that becomes a liability for a woman, which is a discomfort. A woman operates at her best when she's secure and when she is protected and taken care of. When she has to think about financial issues, you no longer have that sweet woman. You no longer have a nurturing woman. You no longer have a compassionate woman because she's stressed out. And the stress on a woman look real different than the stress on a man. A man has to actually do things and achieve things and be ambitious, and it feeds who he is as a man. It don't work like that for a woman.
Yes,
So we gotta be successful to be happy and all that. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you saying we gotta, like, I could be fine with making 45K and be happy. I remember when I was making 45. And right. I was happy as fuck. I was still dating like crazy, and I was Gucci. So
right, but that makes you a more quality man because you're okay where you are. I'm saying that there are many who are not like you, who don't feel comfortable because they do feel like if they have to reach a certain bracket. I'm not saying now if a man is good where he is, he's going to provide and be successful wherever he is. So I didn't put a number on that. Pay attention.
Okay, I'm gonna take the compliment.
I'm talking about someone. No, I'm talking about somebody who is trying to achieve something and feel like they haven't reached that.
Oh yeah,
that's
a problem.
Do you see what I'm saying? But most men are seeking higher. And
you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted. And I
Yeah.
find, and I'll say this about fellas, I find that fellas conform more, and I don't feel like dudes are striving to make so much money. I feel like women strive more to make to be way more successful and make a lot of money. I feel like most men I know are happy at their job, just working their way through the ranks and not just making those big leaps that I see black women making, that they're like really trying to advance. I don't see that much in you know,
I
generally with
mean,
men.
Tyler Perry had a movie about it. You know, it showed him leave this beautiful mansion to get a woman that was a janitor, and he was happy.
Kristen, go ahead with your point.
I gotta say that as a woman, especially a woman who has given birth, knowing that your partner is able to take care of the financial burden when you are on maternity leave, when you decide not to go back to work, when you decide to nurture your child and stay at home and take care of your baby, that's an important conversation to have. And you can't have that conversation with somebody who is making less than you. It's an uncomfortable conversation. So for me, even if that person is making a lower salary than myself, that's fine for you, but I have certain things going on for me, and I'm not gonna knock you down emotionally. I'm not gonna tell you that you're a bad person because you don't do this, but it's not gonna fit in with my future. And that's why I'm like, all of these things can be facts. He might be a nice guy. He might have a wonderful heart, but I need to pay the mortgage. I got
Heart don't pay the bills, baby.
It don't keep the lights
pay the
on. And
bills.
it's very important. And it's not derogatory to say these are my needs. Same thing with the guy. Like if he has other needs, I don't think that's an issue. I can't date a man that makes less than me. It's not gonna work for us or for me in my future. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think it just depends on, the individual and which your lifestyle and what your vision is for your life. If you are the type of person that maybe likes to spend a little bit more, you like more luxurious things, then you need to date someone that has a similar vision for their life. If you're someone that's a little more minimalist and you're fine and you can do good making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 and you're content and it's giving you the lifestyle that you're comfortable with, then date someone that has that similar vision as well. So I don't think one is worse than the other. I think it just depends on what works for you, what works for your household, and what is going to bring you the most peace. And if you date someone that is going to potentially put you in a situation where now you have to change your lifestyle because that person is not able to contribute, then you have to really be strategic about the person that you're dating. So I don't think, again, one or the other is wrong. If you make 40,000 and your significant other makes 60,000 and y'all can make it work, cool, that's great. If you make 150 and your significant other make 70 and you're still able to live the life you want, that's great too.
Well, so let me piggyback on that, Monisa, and I think Sade made a really good point that she didn't put a number on it, right? Like it's in essence a philosophy, right? Like it's so let's just say that I make 250 and my partner doesn't work. If she goes out and gets a part-time job and she's bringing an extra, to Fred's point, if she's bringing an extra 30 or 40, I welcome that. That's cool, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that fresh out the gate, meeting someone, and our lifestyles are supremely different, right? Like I don't want that burden. Kristen has more stamps in her passport than me, right? Like, and I'm not talking about like 1 year I make 200 and this year Kristen made 180. I'm not talking about that. Right? Like she's a business owner. So she's gonna have ups and downs, right? Like I work on commission. So we're gonna have ups and downs. Like there'll be years where Kristen makes more than me. There'll be years when I make more than her. I'm talking about significant differences in our lifestyles. And we don't have that. That's not what we're saying, right? So like us being on par doesn't mean that I always make more than her. Right? Like there are years where Kristen's going to make more than me because her business did well, right? And that's okay because we're on par with one another. I'm talking about like if I meet someone today, right? And I made 180 last year, right? And she made 30, that's not someone that I want to entertain, because she's probably looking for a meal ticket.
So let me just add one thing, right? So my personal experience, right? Like I know who I am, where I'm going, what I need, right? So for me, I don't need a woman who's doing what I'm doing financially, right? We good, right? What I need is a partner who can take care of home, right, and sustain us, right? I got married, was it about 2-3 years ago? I don't remember. She probably kick my ass if I, right? But I will tell you this, right? I pay all the bills. Wifey don't pay shit, right? I make more money now, like it's than I ever made before in my life, before I got married, right? Because I'm not on them streets. I'm not worried about all this other shit, right? I'm able to focus on home on the most important shit, So for me, it's like, that's what I needed, right? So like I don't even know how much fucking money she makes. I barely know what the fuck she does for a living. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck, right? I know what she brings to the table as a partner, right? And for me, it's that stability. Nigga, I ain't cooked like in years. I ain't washed fucking clothes. Like I don't even know how to operate a fucking washer, bro. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, she got a whip she driving, I'm paying for. We got other shit we fucking doing, you know what I'm saying? It's good, right? That's our partnership, right? So you really gotta know like who you are, where you fucking going, and what you fucking need. You know what I'm saying? And have a partner that complements you in terms of your journey, where you fucking going, period, right? So I'm gonna go back to the fucking competencies, right? I trust her with the money. She's gonna do what the fuck she needs to do because she's demonstrated what she can fucking do with the money, right? I trust her. I don't even look at the accounts. I don't pay no fucking bill. She handles all that shit, right? So I just think focusing again on who you are and where you're going, right? What you fucking need, and again, watching people's behaviors and making decisions based off of that. That's the dope shit. I mean, that's the easy shit, man.
So what we're
Mike,
gonna
what you're
do,
speaking on is
right.
partnership.
We're at 8:41 or 8:43 actually. So KB, I know you had your hands up. So if you can just briefly close us out with your last thoughts, and then we're gonna have to wrap up today's episode. But this was really good, guys.
My bad, I forgot to put my hand down. So this has been a great conversation. I got a lot of got my mind thinking about how I'm moving and stuff. So I think this was an awesome episode. Thank y'all for the invite and all that, man. I'm gonna definitely connect with everybody on the call.
Awesome. Well, since KB didn't have anything else to add, Ray, what was you about to say real quick? Because you be long-winded.
No. I was just agreeing with Mike that the partnership is defined by the people that are in it. And that goes for every relationship, right? Like what works for us won't work for everyone else. And what works for you probably won't work for us. And I think that's the most important piece, is to find someone that you can identify and define what that partnership looks like and what that relationship looks like. And that's where happiness comes from, is finding someone that's willing to put up with your shit, but also applying the shit that they tell you that they need or want out of a relationship.
All right. Well, that is our April Mixed Company. This was a really great conversation. We spent a lot of time on a few of our questions, and I really appreciate everyone's input, everybody's thoughts. I think we all are able to walk away with something to sit with and to process, and maybe even have further dialogue with other friends and groups and stuff like that. So again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that was on the call today. Thank you to everybody that participated and watched on Facebook Live. And we will be back next month with a very special episode of Mixed Company as our last episode of the season, specifically for our singles. So you don't want to miss this one. So keep an eye out on your social media to see what we have just for you all. So everyone be blessed. Have a good night. Be safe. Until May 26th, we are out of here. Good night.